It's Monday morning. You're in the shower. The warm water is running, and last week's episode is still on your mind. You want the peace I talked about. You felt something when I said it, just a little pull, like maybe that's for you too. But you've been wondering for a few days now, and the wonder has some questions attached to it. So I'm going to name those questions just in case you haven't said them out loud, even to yourself. The first one, is it even real? Because you've had things sound beautiful on a Monday and fall completely apart by Wednesday when the actual week shows up and needs something from you. So there's a part of you holding back. That's not simply doubt, sis. That's a woman who've been let down before and learned to keep her hope a little further from her chest. And honey, I understand that. And here's the other question that you might not have let yourself say all the way out loud because saying it makes it real. It says, say it's real. This piece. Say this piece is real. Could I even keep it? What if I get one good week and then I lose it the second somebody texts you needing an urgent favor? The second Sunday night rolls around and I slide back into old routines. And here's the part of that fear that's truly concerning. It's not so much that you lose the peace. It's that reaching for it and losing it would hurt worse than never reaching at all. So it feels safer not to want too much, safer to keep your hope at arm's length where a disappointment can't reach it. I know that feeling, hon. I've lived it for a very long time. I've asked both of those questions myself. I've stood in my own kitchen, in my own shower, wondering if peace like that could ever be real for me, or if it was just for women who had less on their plates than I did. I know exactly what it feels like to want something and not trust that you're allowed to have it or that it'll stay if you get it. And so I kept praying and tried to have more faith. Like maybe if I just believed harder, the peace would show up. But that's not how it happened for me. And I don't ask those questions anymore. I just started living anyhow. I decided not to let fear stop me. To hear me talk into this mic every week. And it'd be easy to assume this is just my personality, that I've got some natural tolerance for peace that you don't have. Honey, mm-mm, I don't. I've had to learn it. And that doesn't mean I've got it all figured out either. Oh, no, 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 honey. Some days that old feeling still tries to show up, the little tug of guilt, the apology that almost slips out for setting my boundaries or letting go of wanting to please. It still has something to say. And I've just learned to recognize its voice and remain steady. But I'm not completely past it. I've just been at this a little longer than you have, and I can turn around and tell you what I've learned. So that's what this episode is all about. Not selling, not convincing. I'm just going to tell you one ordinary thing that's different in my life now that I have peace, and how I know it's the real kind of peace and not just me going quiet again. And then you can decide for yourself. And so, if you have a little bit of time, pull up that chair, sis. Let's get into it. Welcome to episode 13 of the Holy Kingdom Purpose Podcast, a production of Her Virtuous Purpose. I'm your host, Natalie R. Trotman. Now, if you've been walking with me these last few weeks, you know we just came through a tough series. We spent real time in the courtroom together. We counted what it cost. We named the debt. We filed the letter. We let the judge do what only he can do. That was heavy, intentional work. And sis, you did it. You filed, you stayed, you're still standing. But you're not supposed to live in the courtroom. You file your case and then you leave. You walk back out into your ordinary life, your Tuesday, your kitchen, your quiet house, and you actually go live. And that's the part you're probably not prepared for. Everybody talks about how to survive the hard season. Almost nobody tells you what to do once the hard part is behind you and you're standing in the calm, wondering what this quiet is and if you're allowed to enjoy it. So that's where we are today. Behind us is everything we filed. Ahead of us is everything I've been genuinely excited to get to. A whole new stretch of the journey that's not about what was taken from you anymore. It's about what's yours now, what the next leg of the journey entails, what what's set out in front of you, what you get to sit down and enjoy. We'll get to that course soon, though. In fact, that's starting next episode. But today, honey, before we pull our chairs all the way out, the question that brought you into the shower this morning, is it real? I'm going to answer it with my own life. So let me tell you what's actually different from me now. I have so many things that I could share, but I'll share just one. And it is much smaller than you'd think, actually. The main thing that's changed for me is this: I don't second guess my boundaries anymore. That's it. That's the whole thing. Not some big mountaintop moment, not a gloat. I don't perform anymore to keep a fake version of peace at the cost of the real one. I know that might sound small to somebody on the outside, but if you're a woman who knows what I'm talking about, if you've ever said yes with your mouth while your whole body was screaming, no, just to keep the temperature in the room, then you already know it's not small at all. So let me tell you what that used to look like for me. And then I'll tell you what it looks like now, and you decide which woman you'd rather be. I'm going to take you back a couple of years, not even that long ago, to be honest. I got a phone call, and before I even picked it up, I already know what it is, okay? You ever got one of those? Somebody needs something, a favor, a yes, a piece of me that I just don't have to give. Everything in my body already starts paying for the inevitable answer. There's a tightness in my chest. My stomach pulls out into little knots. My whole body is saying no, not this time, not again. My body has been telling me to put it first before I even said hello. But I pick up. I always pick up or call back. And I said yes anyway. Why? because saying no meant an explanation, a conversation. And a conversation might mean a pushback. And pushback might mean an argument. And I would do just about anything to avoid an argument with this person or to prove that I am a good person, a good daughter, a wife, mom, sister, friend. So I hand over the yes I didn't mean just to keep the peace. Except it was never peace for me. It was just quiet in the moment. I bought a few hours of quiet with a piece of myself I could not afford to spend. And it never ended there. Because after the yes, I'd turn on myself. Why didn't you say no? What is wrong with you? You're a grown woman. Why can't you use your own mouth? I'd call myself weak, spineless. I'd replay the whole call and hate how easily I gave in. And then, because I don't even let myself sit in that, I'd swing the other way and start making excuses for me. It's fine. It wasn't that big of a deal. You can handle it. You always do. Back and forth like that, beating myself up and then patting myself on the head all day long over a yes I never wanted to give in the first place. That was my normal for a very long time. And I want to be clear. Nobody was standing over me, forcing me to say yes. That was in my own hand, picking the weight back up or of a habit so old that I thought it was just who I was. I had to say yes because I was a good girl. I was a good friend. I was a Christian. Now, I don't do that anymore. I'm not going to give you my whole life story today. That's not what this episode is about. But I'll tell you the one thing that turned me. I filed my own justice letter before I ever wrote yours. Mine wasn't pretty like the workbook. Mine was messy, raw. I got down in my prayer closet, honey, and I begged God to help me. I mean, like I ugly cried. Okay? And I got specific. I counted the cost. I named it out loud and I filed it right there in the only court that could actually rule on it. And what I walked out of that prayer closet with was this: the steady reminder of whose I am. I am a daughter of a God who thought I was worth dying for. That is worth more than what anybody else thought of me, especially when what they thought was slowly killing me. That little prayer closet was my courtroom. But here's what I need you to hear, sis. Walking out did not automatically make me a woman who could hold her boundary. The debt was settled, yeah, but the habit, honey, sister girl, the old reflex that say yes and then argue with myself about it was still standing right there, waiting for me like it always had. It didn't matter. I was so wrapped up in being a daughter, holding on to the peace that I found that I just could not. And now I just bask in every opportunity that I get to hold on to my boundaries. For example, um, I remembered like one of the first times that I said no. It was the most beautiful no, and I want you to notice how ordinary it is because that's the whole point. It is so simple. Somebody made a request and I turned it down. Same kind of ask I'd said yes to plenty of times before, and I said no. kindly, plainly, no speech, no long explanation, no multiple reasons stacked up to make my no sound reasonable. Just no, I can't. And then I went on doing what I was doing that day. I didn't think about it again. It's the best feeling. I didn't replay it. I didn't wonder if I was too harsh. I didn't draft a follow-up text to soften it. I said no, and the no just stayed said. It didn't need me to guard it, to defend it, to apologize for it after the fact. Now, here's the part I really want you to hear though, because this is how I know it's the real thing and not just me toughening up. Because you're probably wondering if it's a real peace or if I'm toughening up. But honey, this is how I know it's real peace, right? That old feeling did try to show up again, like I said, right on schedule. The little tug that said, "Was that too much? Should you give them a call later?" He's probably upset with you now. The same voice I'd listened to all those years was still there. And I just cannot stress that point enough. It doesn't really go away. But I didn't fight it. I don't fight it. I didn't have to. I didn't white knuckle my way through it. I just noticed it, recognized it, almost like an old acquaintance. I even honored it with a smile because I don't see it as an enemy. It's a reminder of how far I've come. It helps me to see the importance of choosing peace. And I let it pass, honey. It's got a job to do, and I've got mine. Back to the dishes, back to the email, back to whatever I was doing. And that, sis, that right there is the difference between quiet and peace. Because the old quiet was loud, loud regrets, loud frustration, loud second guessing. I bought it with a silent yes, I didn't mean. And then I paid interest on it all day long, arguing with myself. Quiet always costs you something. Peace doesn't. And that's the difference I have finally learned. Peace knows its worth. An argument only leaves you in a deficit. So choose peace. Peace doesn't argue, sis. It doesn't need to. Peace says no or yes. And that's that, no matter who is asking. Not because peace is cold, but because peace already knows its worth. So it's not up for a debate that would only drain you. Peace is an expression. It can't be denied. It's growth in action. That old quiet I had to keep buying over and over. Peace, I don't have to purchase at all. Peace is priceless. Here's another one. It's It's probably not worth mentioning because it's so small, because it's just simply I made a decision. I made a decision, and somebody, I won't say it's a family or a friend, but somebody didn't approve of it one bit. And that alone would have kept me up half the night a few years ago. I would have been up writing a speech in my head, the explanation, the evidence, a whole argument, honey. This time, I noticed they were upset, yeah. I felt that old tug for about a half a second. And then I went to bed. I went to bed. I slept. On a night that I used to spend in mental and emotional court, sister girl, I went to sleep. And that right there is the whole miracle. I just went to sleep without worrying about it. That's peace. You want to know how you know which one you've got, peace or quiet? Ask yourself one plain question. Am I defending this after I've already decided it? If you said your no or your yes, and you're spending your whole afternoon in the courtroom of your own head arguing the case, sis, mm-mm, that's the old quiet. But if you made your decision and it just stayed made and you went right on with your day, honey, honey, you made it. That right there, that's peace. That's the real thing. And that's case closed. That's it. You found peace. You made your decision, and oh well. No bitterness, no animosity, just I'm happy with my decision. So I'm not going to give you an assignment today. I'm not going to give you any homework. This is a bridge, right? This is just a bridge between two episodes, a place to catch your breath between where we've been and where we're going. I am, however, going to extend an invitation. See, if you filed with me during the last few episodes, if you did the hard intentional work, if you've been standing out here in the calm, wondering what on earth you're supposed to do next, then, honey, the next stretch on this journey is the one I want to walk through with you. I can't wait. It's the one I'm living in right now. The one where you don't second guess your no or your yes, where you make a decision and it just stays made, where you stop bracing for the calm to get taken from you and you actually let yourself rest in it. So next week, we will start something new together. A few episodes about what it actually looks like to care for yourself. Not the bubble bath version, the real one. The kind scripture had for you all along. Just come back if you're interested and bring a sister friend with you. One honest word. The same one I always give you because I mean it every time. This podcast walks with you. It is not a replacement for a therapist, a counselor, or a licensed professional. If what you've been carrying is heavier than a good podcast can help with, if the calm won't come, no matter how safe your environment gets, please reach for help. A good counselor, your doctor, a certified mental health coach, such as myself. That's not you failing at peace, honey. That's you being wise about it. Prayer and a good professional were never on opposite sides. They've always been on your side. And if you ever feel unsafe in your own mind, reach out the same day, not someday. You can call or text 988. That's 988 for the crisis and on a lifeline. And as we get ready to end this episode, here's what I want you to carry out of here today. You don't have to figure it all out. You don't need a plan or a routine or the perfect version of rest already worked out in your head. You don't need to be ready. You just need to come back. Come back on next week. We're stepping into the next leg of this journey, how to actually care for yourself, your soul, and finally find some rest. And if this episode found you, do one thing for me. Send it to one other woman who needs to hear it. Not so she'll subscribe, not to grow my numbers, just so she knows somebody sees her, somebody understands, and build a whole podcast to tell her she's not alone. Nothing fancy, nothing fluffy, just the truth and a friend. That's not marketing, sis. That's ministry. Until then, I am your coach, Natalie R. Trotman, encouraging you to stay purposefully in His presence because He is where the joy is.